Stop everything you're doing right now and truly listen to what I'm about to tell you. Have you ever wondered why you repeat the same patterns in relationships? Why you sabotage your success at the last moment? Why certain situations trigger disproportionately strong emotions? This isn't just another motivational talk. This is a revelation about invisible forces that control your life from the shadows of the past. Childhood traumas. They didn't stay in childhood. They live in your nervous system, in your subconscious, in every decision you make. The moment of recognizing these traumas is the beginning of liberation. Think about it. Most people think childhood ended when they grew up. But the truth is, your inner child is still here, inside you, carrying wounds that were never healed. This wounded child doesn't live in the past. They live in the present, reacting to the world from a place of pain, fear, unmet needs. When an adult rages over something small, that's not the adult. That's a 5-year-old who was never heard. When someone can't set boundaries, that's not adult weakness. That's a child who was punished for saying no. It's time to meet this child. It's time to heal these wounds and free your adult life from being controlled by the past. Scientific foundation. The first 7 years of life are a critical period of brain development. During this time, your brain operates predominantly in theta waves, 4-7 hertz. This is a state of hypnosis, high suggestibility. A child in theta state has no critical filter. They can't analyze, is this true or not? They simply record everything as a program. When a parent says, "You're bad," the child doesn't think that's the parent's opinion on a bad day. They record, "I am bad," as an absolute truth about themselves. These programs are recorded not only through words, they're recorded through emotional experiences. Neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky explains that a child's brain doesn't distinguish between physical and emotional threat. When a child is ignored, rejected, criticized, shamed, their brain perceives this as a survival threat. Because for a child, parental love literally means survival. Without them, they would die. Therefore, every rejection activates the same brain areas as physical pain. Literally, MRI shows this. Emotional pain is not a metaphor. It's real neurological pain. And here's what's critically important. When trauma is not processed, it gets stuck. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, leading trauma expert, says the body keeps the score. Traumatic experience is stored not only in memory, it's stored in the body, in muscle tension, in breathing patterns, in the nervous system. This is called somatic memory. Therefore, an adult may not consciously remember the trauma, but their body remembers. And when a current situation even remotely resembles the trauma, the body reacts as if the danger is here and now. This isn't irrational. This is a neurologically programmed survival response. The problem and its origins. Where do childhood traumas come from? It's important to understand trauma isn't only obvious abuse or neglect. Yes, these are extreme forms of trauma, but trauma can be much more subtle. Any event that was emotionally overwhelming for the child and for which they didn't receive support to process, that's trauma. A child was teased at school, came home in tears, and the parent said, "Don't cry, be strong." The intention was good, but the message the child received, "Your emotions are unacceptable, hide them." Or a parent who was physically present but emotionally unavailable. The child reaches for attention, but the parent is absorbed in their phone, work, their own problems. No one hit the child. But emotional neglect trauma occurred. The message, "You're not important. Your needs don't matter." This child grows into an adult who can't ask for help, who exhausts themselves trying to do everything alone, who doesn't believe they deserve attention, or a family where there was unpredictability. Sometimes the parent was loving, sometimes angry, with no understandable reason for the child. The child lives in constant anxiety. Which parent will show up today? This creates trauma of insecurity. The world is unpredictable. People are unreliable. This child grows into an adult with chronic anxiety who tries to control everything and everyone because subconsciously they're still trying to create the safety that wasn't there in childhood. Trauma isn't the event. It's the impact of the event on a developing child's nervous system in the absence of adequate support. Call to subscribe. Stay with me until the end of this video because I will give you specific steps for meeting your inner child and healing these wounds. Subscribe to Energy of Spirit, give a like, and leave any comment, for example, 555, a sign of transformation and change. Each of your comments and likes helps this healing knowledge reach those who are ready to free themselves from the past. Your support is service. Thank you. First, trauma, rejection and abandonment. Rejection trauma forms when a child feels unwanted, that their existence is a burden. This can be said directly, "We didn't plan for you," or conveyed non-verbally, absence of joy at seeing the child, minimal physical contact, constant irritation at their needs. The child doesn't understand the context, that the parent might be depressed or under financial stress. The child draws the only conclusion they can. Something is wrong with me. I'm unworthy of love. This wounded child grows into an adult with a deep fear of rejection. They do everything to be liked. They agree with what they don't agree with. They suppress their true needs. They become who they think others will want to love, losing themselves in the process. Or conversely, they reject others first to avoid being rejected, sabotaging relationships precisely when they become close. "I'll leave before you leave." This is the wounded child's protective strategy. On the somatic level, rejection trauma is stored as constriction in the chest, shallow breathing, as if the person is trying to take up as little space as possible. If I stay small, invisible, maybe I won't be rejected. The voice inside whispers, "Don't be yourself. Being yourself isn't safe." This is a quiet but constant voice that steals decades of life lived in a mask, trying to be good enough for others, never being good enough for themselves. Second trauma, shame and humiliation. Shame is one of the most toxic emotions. Guilt says, "I did something bad." Shame says, "I am bad." This isn't about behavior. This is about the very essence of being. A child is publicly ridiculed for a mistake, or a parent who constantly compares, "Why can't you be like your brother?" or punishes natural childhood needs. "You're wet. How shameful." The child learns, "My natural needs are shameful. I am shameful." An adult carrying shame trauma lives with a constant inner critic that attacks mercilessly. Nothing is ever enough. Any achievement is immediately devalued. Any mistake becomes proof of core defectiveness. This person may look successful externally, but inside, emptiness, a feeling of fraud. If they knew who I really am, they would leave. This is called imposter syndrome, and its roots are in childhood shame. Shame is stored in the body as rounded shoulders, lowered head, avoidance of eye contact. The body literally tries to hide. Shame also manifests as perfectionism, attempting to be so flawless that no one will see the defective self inside, or as procrastination. If I don't try, I can't fail, and I won't have to face shame. Shame is a prison where the person is simultaneously prisoner and jailer, and the key to freedom is in compassionate meeting with that child who first heard, "You are shameful." Third trauma, betrayal of trust. Betrayal happens when someone the child trusted violates that trust. This can be physical or sexual abuse, the most severe forms. But this can also be emotional betrayal. A parent who promises and doesn't deliver. Systematically, the child learns promises can't be trusted. People are unreliable. Or a parent who tells the child secrets to others, laughing about them, or uses the child as emotional support for their adult problems, inverting the roles. An adult with betrayal trauma has enormous trust issues. They either trust no one, keeping everyone at distance, checking on partners, living in suspicion, or they trust too quickly, not seeing red flags, because they desperately want to believe in goodness and are betrayed again and again, confirming the childhood wound. They attract unreliable people because it's familiar. Familiar feels like home, even if that home was painful. On the body level, betrayal trauma creates hypervigilance, constant alertness, scanning the environment for threats, chronic tension in shoulders and back, as if the person is ready for attack at any moment, or conversely, freezing, dissociation, leaving the body, because being in the body once meant being in danger. This person may seem present, but part of them is always somewhere else, defending against the betrayal that the subconscious believes is inevitable. Fourth trauma, inability to express self. This is the trauma of suppression. A child tries to express themselves, an opinion, emotion, creativity, individuality, and they're systematically silenced. Children should be seen, not heard. Don't talk nonsense. You're too sensitive. Normal children don't act like this. The message is clear. Your true self is unacceptable. Suppress yourself to fit in. The child learns to cut off parts of themselves to gain approval. An adult with this trauma doesn't know who they really are. They've spent so much time being who they thought they should be that they've lost connection with their authentic self. They agree with others even when everything inside screams no. They can't make choices because they fear choosing wrong and being judged. They live on the surface of life, avoiding depth, because depth requires authenticity, and authenticity was punished in childhood. Physically, this manifests as a block in the throat. The throat chakra is blocked. The person literally cannot speak their truth, or they speak very quietly, uncertainly. Chronic cough, thyroid problems can have roots in the unexpressed. Creativity, which is soul expression, is suppressed. I'm not a creative person, says the adult. But the truth is that creativity was suffocated in childhood when the drawing was criticized, the song mocked, the dance called silly. The child decided it's safer not to express at all. Fifth trauma, role reversal, parentification. This happens when a child is forced to be an adult too early. The parent is emotionally immature and the child becomes emotional support for the parent. Or the parent is sick, addicted, and the child takes on care of younger siblings, household duties. The child receives praise for being so grown up, so responsible. But inside, they lose childhood. They never get permission to be a child, spontaneous, carefree, dependent. An adult with this trauma is hyper-responsible. They take on care of everyone. They can't rest because rest seems irresponsible. They attract relationships where they're the rescuer and the partner is needy. This is the only dynamic that feels like love, because love was connected with caretaking and sacrifice in childhood. They measure their worth by usefulness. If I'm not useful, I'm not needed. This leads to burnout, exhaustion, resentment that they suppress because expressing it would mean being selfish. Somatically, this manifests as chronic fatigue. The body is tired from decades of overfunctioning, adrenal problems from chronic stress. The body is literally exhausted from carrying burdens it should never have borne. Playing, laughing, releasing control, these things trigger anxiety because the inner child still believes, if I relax, everything will fall apart. I must hold it all together. But the truth is, it wasn't the adult holding it together. A child carried an impossible burden. And it's time to let the adult take responsibility and the child. Be a child, finally. How traumas control adult life. See the pattern. Childhood traumas didn't stay in the past. They actively control the present through unconscious reactions. When a current situation triggers an old wound, you don't react from your adult state. You regress to the age of the trauma. A 40-year-old successful person suddenly feels like a frightened 7-year-old being scolded. A partner makes a neutral comment, but you hear the voice of a critical parent and react defensively, aggressively, or withdraw. This isn't your fault. This isn't weakness. This is the nervous system at work, tuned in childhood to certain reactions. Neural pathways created by trauma become highways. When a trigger occurs, the electrical impulse in the brain travels the most established path to the traumatic response. You don't consciously choose this. It happens faster than conscious thought. That's why people often say, I don't know what came over me. I didn't want to react that way. It's the wounded child taking control. And here's what's critical. Until these wounds are recognized and healed, you will repeat the patterns. Psychologists call this repetition compulsion. The subconscious tries to heal the wound by recreating a similar situation, hoping for a different outcome. That's why people attract the same partners again and again. That's why you find yourself in the same conflicts at different jobs. This isn't coincidence. This is an unconscious attempt to get what you didn't get in childhood. But without awareness and healing, the outcome is always the same. Only consciousness breaks the cycle. Path to healing. Meeting the inner child. Healing begins with awareness. You must meet your inner child, not intellectually. Yes, I had a difficult childhood. Really, in a meditative state where you can actually feel this child inside. Find a quiet place. Close your eyes. Breathe. Imagine yourself as a child at the age when the trauma occurred. See this child. Where are they? What do they feel? What do they look like? Approach this child. Get down to their level. Say what this child needed to hear then. I see you. You're not alone. What happened wasn't your fault. You're worthy of love. You matter. Say this with full presence and emotion. Allow yourself to feel. If tears come, cry. These are tears of healing. Hug this child. Say, I'm here now. I, the adult, will protect you. You don't have to be alone anymore. This isn't fantasy. This is real neurobiological work. When you do this with full emotional presence, you activate the same brain areas where the trauma is stored. You create a new experience, the brain begins to overwrite the old memory with a new experience of safety, love, acceptance. This is called memory reconsolidation. The old traumatic memory isn't erased, but now beside it is a new memory of being seen, accepted, protected. This changes the emotional charge of the trauma. It loses its power to control you. Practice of reparenting. Inner child healing isn't a one-time meditation. It's a process of reparenting. You must become for yourself the parent you didn't have. When the inner critic attacks, ask, how old is the part of me saying this? Usually it's the parent's voice or the wounded child. Don't argue with it. Say with compassion, I hear you. You're trying to protect me. Well, thank you, but now I, the adult, make decisions, and I choose differently. When you feel triggered, stop, breathe, ask, what is my inner child feeling right now? Scared, rejected, unheard? Address that feeling. I understand what you're feeling. In the past, this was dangerous, but now we're safe. I, the adult, can handle this. This creates internal safety. You teach the nervous system that the adult is here and capable. The child doesn't need to be in charge. They can relax and be a child, do things your inner child wanted to do but couldn't. Play, draw just for joy, without judgment. Dance around the house, laugh. If your child needed to express anger, but it wasn't safe, create a safe space now. Scream into a pillow, hit a punching bag, release the stuck emotion. If the child needed to cry, allow yourself to cry now, without shame. This isn't weakness. This is liberation. Tears literally remove cortisol and other stress hormones from the body. Crying heals. Liberation through forgiveness. At a certain stage of healing comes forgiveness. It's important to understand, forgiveness isn't justification, not minimization, not everything's okay. It's freeing yourself from the toxicity of holding resentment. Resentment is poison you drink hoping it will harm another, but it only harms you. Forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you. It's a decision to stop letting the past poison the present. Begin with forgiving your parents or those who caused pain. This doesn't mean returning to toxic relationships. Boundaries can and should remain, but the emotional attachment must be cut. Understand, they wounded you from their own wounds. Wounded people wound people. Your parents carried their childhood traumas. They did the best they could with the level of consciousness they had. This doesn't excuse, but it's context, and context allows the heart to soften. But there's another critical forgiveness, forgiving yourself for all the years you reacted from the wound, for relationships you destroyed, for opportunities you sabotaged, for words you said in anger, for time spent in fear. Forgive yourself. You did the best you could with the level of awareness you had. Now you know more. Now you can do differently. Be as kind to yourself as you would be to a wounded child, because deep inside you is still that wounded child, and they need your compassion most of all. Powerful conclusion. Childhood traumas have controlled your life long enough. Every disproportionate reaction, every sabotage success, every recurring painful pattern. This is the voice of the wounded child desperately trying to be heard. It's time to hear that voice, not to remain in the victim role, not to blame the past forever, but to finally be free. You can't change what happened, but you can change how it continues to affect you now. Awareness is the beginning. Compassion is the path. Action is the healing. Meet your inner child today. Don't postpone. Every day lived from the wound is a day stolen from your authentic life. You deserve to live as a free adult, not as a wounded child in an adult body. Your inner child has been waiting for you their whole life. They've been waiting for you to come and save them. They've been waiting for love, acceptance, protection. It's time to come. It's time to become for yourself the hero you've been waiting for. Right now, in this moment, decide, I will meet my inner child. I will heal these wounds. I will free myself from being controlled by the past. This isn't a quick process, it's a journey, but every step on this path returns to you a piece of your soul that was lost in trauma. Every touching of the wound and its healing releases energy for life that was bound in survival. Healing is possible. Freedom is real. Your inner child deserves it. You deserve it. Start today. The time has come. Love is waiting. Healing is available. Choose yourself.